So one thing I came across today is we're kind of prepping, getting ready for drywall to come in, and I kind of have a punch list items, and one of the things that even the inspector does not like is these stairs shake. When you walk up them, they bounce. And that's not a good thing, because if we drywall the surface of it or drywall underneath, when you walk up and down, it's going to crack the drywall. If it bounces now, it's going to do nothing but progressively get worse in the future. So we don't want to put a pole over here, only because we plan on having a chair over here. We think it'll be obstructive. So I tried to figure out how far in I can go to stiffen this up. So I screwed a 2x4 on here to act as a post, walked up the steps, and it does great. So we think that'll be a good enough solution. Except we don't want the 2x4 sticking down right here. So what we're thinking of is we have a cat right now. If we have a dog in the future, so what we're thinking of is that we will enclose this section right here from this post, from this right here down this side. We'll enclose it in, and we'll put a door, or it'll be open with a cushion for the dogs and or the cat to have a little house. And on this side of it,
it'll look
on
like
this
that.
side of it, yes. And so on the front side of it, we'll put shelves on this side. We'll just put a couple shelves, just a bookshelf. And another thing that I was thinking of doing is to keep the drywall out of the picture, because it may crack and things of that sort. I think we're going to put shiplap up here all the way at the steps, and underneath this section here, we'll shiplap that, so that shiplap will be able to take the bouncing and the impact. This large wall here is planned on being shiplap, so that'll take the shiplap look and it'll bring it over here, so kind of blend in. So
possibly stone too. We're still
stone, shiplap, maybe shiplap and
planning.
Stone.
We don't know yet.
We can do what we want.
Yeah.
Soon.
And when we figure it out, we'll let you know.
Yeah, as soon as we find out, we'll record it and we'll let you know. So that's the bug for today. I have another issue going with the loft. It has a camber in it. I can fix the far end of the camber with putting another board on it. That's not going to be a problem. And I may have to do the same thing over here, put an extra support beam in it. So we're just kind of knocking out a couple little things here before the drywallers get started. I'm kind of hoping the drywallers will just hurry up and get started, because then I'll stop worrying about all this stuff.
Okay, so while Tony is doing his piddly work, getting ready for the drywall, I'm doing piddly work too. So this job is created because of the foam insulation contractors. They covered all of the doors and windows with plastic, and they used a staple gun to adhere the plastic to the wood. So we're still left with all these pieces.
Let's talk drywall.
Drywall, oh my gosh, as you guys can see, the drywall made such a big difference with the pole barn. It's starting to look finished, and we are so excited to finally get to this point.
Drywall by far is the biggest transformation that the insides will take during construction. You know, 2x4s is one thing. When they put the spray foam in, that was another. But when they throw drywall up, it starts turning into a house. You know, rooms really get defined, and yeah.
Yeah, so we just wanted to give a few talking points about our drywall experience. So one of the main things that everybody wants to know is the cost of the drywall. So, did you have more than one quote on this, Tony? Or did...
Yes, and they were almost exact.
Exactly.
Almost, they were like $100 different.
So we had one contractor that was pretty much a bigger company, and then one guy kind of was a mom and pop.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
drywall.
Yeah.
He didn't really have like a company name and that sort of thing.
Right. It was just this guy and his crew, which was fine. We had actually used him before, but when it came down to this size of a project to do the whole house, we just felt more comfortable going with a professional business with
with an actual business
with a
name
with a letterhead and
well, also
and a long history. Yeah.
Also, the quotes were exactly the same. So
right.
if you know the other guy would have gave us a little bit cheaper price, we may have went with him, but being that they were exactly the same price, we decided to go with the bigger company for, obvious reasons as well. But as you can see, this is the actual invoice that we were given, the quote we were given. The total drywall was $7,550.40 and change. And it is paid in full. So
yeah, so if you count, we have 1,600 square feet of floor space. So if you can kind of envision that. Now, granted, we have 16-foot walls and some of it with, and our ceiling is 23 feet in the air. So there, it does complicate things, but that's a good estimation.
Yeah. So as the invoice says, it's for installing and finishing the drywall, the board, the supplies, materials, and labor, the walls and the ceiling, and the main floor and second floor loft area. So it did say the price did include the cleanup. They were going to remove the scraps after hanging the drywall, and they would use a dumpster if it was outside, or just put the supplies outside with whatever was left over. We actually had to clean up ourselves. That was the only thing that I wanted to mention, because we didn't have a dumpster. So,
well, in a sense, okay, let's look at the scope of work. So, first thing that occurred is they came in. They had the drywall delivered first, which was kind of out of order. But they had the drywall was delivered, and when they delivered the drywall, the truck brings it and they haul it into the house, and they actually stage it in different areas of the house according to the way they're going to install it. So they went ahead and took it upstairs into the loft and put a bunch of the sheets upstairs in the loft, and then they put some downstairs in several different areas to make it quicker and easier for them to get to it and get it into its place. Then step 2, they came by and they put down floor covering to cover our floors, because we have concrete floors. So it's not like a standard house that's just drywall, or it's plywood flooring where they could just scrape off their excess. So they had to cover our floors, because they actually put the floor covering around where they had the drywall stacked.
Yeah, so the floor covering did not cover the space where the drywall was stacked. Right. And it's weird, they used old wallpaper as a floor covering.
It was old, that's right, it was.
Yeah, it was old sheets of wallpaper.
Now, when they say that that included cleanup, now when they installed the drywall, they would take the cut pieces and the small shards and all that, and they did take it. They will either take it outside and stack it, or they will put it in a dumpster. Now, we had a trailer outside that they went out and they threw it onto the trailer.
Well, that was originally after the hangers.
Initial, that was the hangers. The hangers did that cleanup.
But the final cleanup, as you can see from the video that I gave, it was a total mess. There was buckets of plaster. Yep. All of the floor covering was in the middle of the floor. Leftover pieces. So Tony and I actually had to go to a local dump and pay to get rid of the stuff. We had to haul the final product out ourselves. This is after the total finish. So we had to pay, it was about $35 to get rid of everything that was left over with their buckets and stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad price, but we were expecting more of a final cleanup.
Yeah, I think part of the confusion on that is the drywall companies use multiple crews. So they had the company that delivered the drywall was a drywall supply company, but then the boys that came in to put the floor covering in was one crew. Then when they left, the hangers came and hung the drywall. And then after that, the first mudding crew came in to put the first cover mud. Was a different crew. These are all different people. You can tell. There's sets of people. They were different people. It's not like the same people were here each time. So, and then the cleanup. So when the people hung the drywall, they knew that the cut pieces go out on that trailer. Well, when the final cleanup crew came in, that put the pile in the middle of the floor and took all the flooring up. That was the original floor covering people, so they didn't know that the cart was out there for. It was just a trailer sitting in our driveway, so I don't think they knew that's what that was for. So they didn't.
They just left everything.
So they just left it in the middle of the floor. They didn't take it outside.
Well, Tony and I are used to cleaning up stuff, so I mean, it was fine. I mean, if we would have had a dumpster, they would have put it in the dumpster, I'm sure. So we cleaned it up, we paid, we got rid of it, and we moved on. So, anything else we need to, let's see, we talked about the mess, the cost, and basically like the overall amount of time that it took to complete it. I would say overall it was probably about 3 to 4 weeks total by the time they delivered the supplies and...
Yeah, because they delivered the drywall and then they didn't start hanging it for probably 2 days after that. And then when they hung the drywall, we're also in a rainy season, so they can't when they put mud, they hung the drywall in a day and a half, which was quite surprising. But when they start mudding, they have to wait for it to dry in between each one, and because we're in a rainy season, it doesn't dry nearly as fast as if it was the middle of the summer when it was hot. So in between mudding, and I guess in between jobs they have, their mudding crew, because the mudding crew would just show up, midday.
Yeah, they came on a Saturday afternoon one time. It was unexpected, because we live here in the pole barn, and their crew just showed up literally at 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon.
Which is fine. They're doing what they do and trying to work you in. So
yeah, we didn't care.
And then once unexpected. And after when they say they are quote unquote finished, they will do a second inspection. Now, what happens there is whenever your painter comes in and does his first primer coat on the walls, then the drywall company will come back and they will take a high-powered light and they shine it on the wall to see if they can see any imperfections, nicks, marks, scratches, or whatever. And they sent one guy out to do that, and he sanded and fixed and patched little marks and anything that I had marked on the walls that we saw and anything I pointed out. And then he was done.
Yeah, so that's kind of the point we're at live today is the first set of wall imperfections have been covered, and so we're waiting for the next set of final paint to be started. Right. So, but we'll talk about some updates on the next video. Maybe the next pole barn video that we do, we'll talk about some things that are going on during coronavirus and some things that maybe are holding us up.
One thing to remember about drywall: it's dusty. Very dusty.
Yeah, and let me tell you, those guys that were doing the drywall sanding, and the mudding and the sanding, they did not wear a mask, and that dust would choke you out. Like, I couldn't go in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess they're used to it, but that stuff is getting in their lungs.
And it gets on everything, and it goes everywhere.
Everywhere.
It crawls, it seeps through the cracks of the walls and comes out into the garage, and we had a fine powder of dust all over the garage.
Yeah. It's everywhere. So
not much you can do about it.
But yeah, so that's it for the drywall. It's done. The mess is cleaned up. The house looks good, and we're ready for the next step. So we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you at the homestead on the next video. Thanks for watching Bridgeview Adventures.
See ya.